Hi everyone, I'm Robin Sewell and this is Arizona Highways. Just below Lake Powell, at the entrance to the Grand Canyon, tucked along the banks of the mighty Colorado River, is a little oasis in the desert called Lee's Ferry.
Almost everyone that comes here appreciates this. I mean, it's so different than the city, it's so far away from the city, and I think that everyone that sees this appreciates the beauty and the solitude that this river offers.
The somewhat remote area in northern Arizona was settled back in the mid-1800s. The site got its name from John Doyle Lee, who would ferry people across the river. The area also served as a military outpost in the 19th century. Today it serves as a popular boating and fishing area, drawing outdoor enthusiasts from all over the world.
Just being outside, just casting a rod is a zen. I mean, it puts you in a whole different place. I always say that this is the prettiest place that I've ever been to go trout fishing. And it's hard to concentrate on the fishing because of the beauty around you.
The area overflowing with so much natural beauty. Nature's art is truly on display. And not far from these towering cliffs and zigzagging water are reminders of an earlier time. These old horse-drawn wagons were how people used to get around. And check this out. You can still see houses built by some of the early settlers using wood and mud. They are simplistic in design, yet sturdy and practical. There are also a handful of stone houses or buildings that you can see and visit. So, the next time you head up north, stop by Lee's Ferry. Whether you stroll in the area and soak up its history, or wade into the water and cast a line, you'll go away amazed. Too often, this is the only way visitors ever think of Lee's Ferry, a stop or start point for river raft rides down the Colorado River. This place has a long history of folks just passing through. For 60 years, Lee's Ferry was the only place for settlers to get across the river and the Grand Canyon. But none of this would have happened if some people didn't stay put. The few families that stayed put lived here, in a ranch they rightly named Lonely Dell. It was not an easy place to tame.
The stories that took place here are stories that we can all relate to as far as just trials and tribulations of life.
Two rivers meet here, the Paria and the Colorado. That water made farming possible.
They also had squash and beans, asparagus, in the orchard, apricots.
This dugout dates from the 1870s. It was used the way we use a refrigerator to keep food from spoiling.
It's built halfway into the ground, which allows it to stay cool and would have been the food storage facility for the families who lived here after the Lees. The Johnsons would have used it, and the Emmets as well.
The river could also be a menace.
The Paria River, just like the Colorado River, prior to Glen Canyon Dam and the other diversions along the rivers, would have blown out with major storm, high water years, and so that occurred frequently enough at this location that they were a source of worry.
Those hard scrabble times are long gone, but the National Park Service keeps this lonely treasure alive for visitors who are willing to slow down and look a little closer.
It's a jewel. I mean, if you look around you right now, you can see the greenery with the red rock behind you, the shade that's here. You can hear the birds in the trees. You'll hear the little rustling on the ground of the lizards, and it's just a peaceful place. The El Charro Restaurant in Tucson is a Mexican foodie's delight. The landmark restaurant actually sits in a home built back in the 1800s, but it's what goes on in the kitchen that keeps people coming back to sample the dishes that have been passed on from generation to generation. Can you say carne seca? The food at El Charro in Tucson is known to Mexican food lovers far and wide. The smell of warm, fresh homemade tortillas made right at the restaurant
will make a lot of you out there remember your Nana.
Most people will take this tortilla, take a little piece, put a little bit of whatever they're going to eat in it, roll it up like that. It's called a bocadito. It's delicious.
But for owner Carlota Flores, it's her family's recipe for carne seca that has people driving for miles to get their fill of the specially prepared meat used in so many of El Charro's recipes.
Carne seca means dry beef. We take the fillet of beef and we slice it extremely thin because this particular piece of beef has to be able to hang in a wire cage outside for 24 hours to start the drying process. In order to give it stability and taste, is marinated in a garlic puree, lemon juice. The meat then is marinated like that.
After the meat is marinated, it's put into a meat cage and hung to dry. After 24 hours, the meat comes out.
You have some product that resembles this, which is a beef jerky product.
And is put into a very hot oven so it almost burns.
This meat then is put into very high-powered shredders, and it comes out pulverized looking like this. This is carne seca. This meat can last you 3 to 6 months in the refrigerator, in your freezer, but always ready to be popped in and sauteed in a little oil, garlic, green chili, tomato, and onion. We do close to 500 pounds of this a day. Some of you may know this meat is also as machaca.
Besides the delicious machaca, they use carne seca in other dishes like salads, cheese crisps, and green chilies. Even if you don't order the specialty of the house, you are guaranteed to always get something not only fresh, but very tasty. Fast and Furious, Sedona style.
Call it a golf cart on steroids.
Climb inside this rugged machine and get ready for the ultimate wild ride.
The Tom car is, as you see behind me, a pretty unique-looking vehicle. It's a fun vehicle.
That was awesome. That was incredible.
Easy to drive, very mobile. Handle any of this terrain that we have here in Sedona very easily. We have a lot of Jeeps here, of course, and these Tom cars are doing the same terrain that the Jeeps are doing with easier effect on the drivers. We've got four-wheel independent suspension, so it makes it a lot easier for the vehicles to get around obstacles and handle them.
Mark and his crew at Sedona Off-Road Center rent out the Tom car. And the response? Well, let's just say favorable would be an understatement.
Most of the time, people just come back with big smiles, with some dirt in their teeth sometimes, and we can't peel the smiles off their faces. It's fun to drive. Because it's so comfortable, you don't mind being behind the seat. You're not getting your fillings knocked out of you. It's a fun machine to drive. It's just fun. We offer the people the opportunity to do something on their own. Instead of a standard guided tour, we offer them the opportunity to get out there and have fun on their own, stop where they want to stop, enjoy the scenery.
So the question is, are these things tough to drive? Well, just ask our crew. We couldn't get Ben out from behind the wheel. Word is, if you can drive a regular vehicle, you can drive a Tom car. Mark and his team will even point you in the right direction.
We do outline maps of what trails they can do, what they shouldn't do, what to look out for. Basically, any of the motorized vehicle trails in Sedona, they're permitted to do.
No, this sure isn't your daddy's golf cart. And when you're cruising around the corner with a face full of dust, you'll be glad it's not.
It's a fun thing for a family to do. Take one of our four-seaters, the family of four can go out and enjoy a half-day rental and have a great time. Just come out to Sedona and enjoy yourselves. Rent a machine and get out there and do something.
Arizona Highways Television is brought to you by Arizona Public Service and the Arizona Office of Tourism.
Leroy DeJolie is a native of Page, Arizona, who has made it his life's work to photograph and chronicle his Navajo people and their heritage. You may recognize his photographs. They have been regularly featured on the pages of Arizona Highways magazine and in Arizona Highways books. He is on a mission to capture his people on film to ensure that the younger generations never forget their traditions.
Many would say the landscaping page is just a barren desert. But photographer Leroy DeJoly has learned to look past first impressions.
This is an extreme wide-angle lens that I have here that I utilize for a lot of my landscape images. Navajo land is more than just a beautiful and wondrous landscape we see in the southwestern corner of our country. Navajo land, in all reality, is a spiritual location. It's my job as a Navajo to be able to conserve and to preserve this landscape.
Leroy DeJoly's stirring photographs do more than preserve vanishing landscapes. This native son is creating a pictorial legacy, an homage to the land and the Navajo, the Dene.
Anytime and every time I'm out here in Navajo land photographing the vast landscape out here, there seems to be a cleansing ritual that actually happens between myself and the landscape. There's a spiritual connection that I see out here. I'm renewed. My spirit is simply renewed every single time I'm out here photographing and making images. This is part of me. I'm a part of Navajo land. Navajo land is a part of me. Lock everything in.
Leroy, who is largely self-taught, is now teaching his wife Shirley. They own a 1902 8x10 Rochester and a large format Deerdorf made in 1952, the same model Ansel Adams used.
I'm having a wonderful time learning it. In fact, I just made some portraits from this camera, and they turn out pretty good. So this is my camera, and I love it.
Almost all of Leroy's pictures are taken in what he calls the sweet light. It's that 45 seconds in the day when the sun reflects a warm glow on the dunes, the mesas, the mountains, and even on the people. That special light happens in the early hours of dawn or in the golden minutes of dusk.
The image I'm concentrating on this evening is to be able to portray one of the last remnants of old Navajo land. He's fixing to get dressed very traditionally, mounted up on his horse, which is very seldom seen anymore. He's also brought his daughter along, so I'm anticipating a great shoot this evening. There's something to be looking forward toward my new book coming out, called Images of Old Navajo Land.
With his classic camera in tow, Leroy has worked tirelessly to show the world the beauty of where he lives. But he also encourages his Navajo people to take pride in their tradition, culture, and history.
I love my people very much. I love my homeland. Navajo land, you have a heart of gold. If I forget the old Navajo land, may my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth.
Just north of Eagar in eastern Arizona, and not all that far from New Mexico, is the archaeological park Casa MultiUse.
This is a Mogollon Indian or Native American site. It was lived in from 1240 to 1450.
Built on a volcanic field full of basalt rock and formed by lava flow, the site rises 7,000 feet in elevation, providing breathtaking views of the basin below.
Visitors can see a unique rectangular kiva constructed with no mortar whatsoever, basalt rock stacked one on top of the other.
The barren land is dotted with these stone kivas and pueblos. Like an outdoor museum, the park links our past with the present, showcasing the Native American culture and history. Many of the rocks covered with hieroglyphics providing visitors an opportunity to witness what many just see in books.
We know that they had ceremonies there because in the rock are indentations that show that there had been offerings ground. This is called a mortar, right in the rocks that are on the ground.
A walk up this spiral staircase built entirely from stone is adventurous and spectacular. A walk back in time concludes with another spectacular view, the winter snow outlining a historical part of the state's history.
They have found wood samples here which enable tree ring dating to be done, as well as pottery.
The park and museum showcase the simplicity and beauty of a time long ago. Several artifacts were excavated and preserved over time, including ancient ceremonial bowls and pots. An observatory still sits on the land. The park is also home to native wildlife like this little guy.
This is a place where animals feel free to come. They kind of know that they are sheltered and protected here.
Combining culture, history, and religion, Casa MultiUse is a must-see for its beauty, splendor, and past. A place where you can literally walk in the path of the men and women who came before us. Arizona Highways Television is brought to you by Arizona Public Service and the Arizona Office of Tourism. The Heard Museum here in Phoenix has one of the best Native American collections in the world. Until now, you had to travel to a big city in Arizona to experience all of this Native culture in one place. But now the Navajo Nation has its own museum on tribal lands in Tuba City.
The sound of the jingles and the stomp on to Mother Earth is to heal yourself, your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul.
The drumbeat of history has always been deep and steady for the Navajo people. Hi,
my name's Wiltrina. I'm from the Minigoats clan. My paternal grandfather's clan is the Bitterwater. My maternal grandfather's clan is the Edgewater.
Navajo tradition insists you never introduce yourself without also introducing your parents and grandparents, your connection to clans. We're inside the new Explore Navajo Museum in Tuba City. I had a chance to get to know Wiltrina Riggs. She tells me she hopes to be the next Miss Navajo, the role model for young women on the Navajo Nation.
Yat Eshe Troy Whitethorn. My clan is Bitterwater, and my father is the Reed People clan. My grandmother is the Salt clan, and my grandfather is the Minigoat clan. Those are the four clans we say to introduce ourselves.
To an outsider like me, the tribe's clan bloodlines can seem a bit complex.
That's how we show who is related to us, and also that we marry into the right clan to make sure we choose the right partner who we can date and who we cannot date.
When we were growing up, our grandmothers always told us that when you look at your hands, there's money there. There's money under your hands. And we always said, where? There's nothing there. There's no money there. We can't see it. But eventually, when we got older, this is what she was talking about. These tools and this loom is our money. This is just a simple design. It usually takes a month or two to make one of these.
Navajo weaver Kim Manygoats is here bringing the museum's loom exhibit to life.
It's very difficult. It takes a long time. You can't just start a loom and start doing designs overnight. You have to learn how to do stripes, you have to take care of the side of the loom, because if you pull it too tight, the loom starts to go inwards. It's a lot of math. You have to add every one of these strings here, then you count for your middle.
This museum is interactive and rich in details. I walk out of here knowing two of the most important things about Navajo culture: pride and survival. Arizona Highways Television is brought to you by Arizona Public Service and the Arizona Office of Tourism. Tucked at the base of the Vermilion Cliffs, just off alternate 89A in northern Arizona, is a slice of the American West.
At 1405. Oh, there you go. Have a great day.
Cliff Dwellers Lodge has been a quintessential part of Arizona for almost a century. This rustic stone and wood building has hosted thousands of visitors, providing a unique and up-close look at the beauty that is northern Arizona.
It started out with a couple that traveled through in the 20s that came from New York. They broke down. There was water and a place, some shelter. They ended up staying. She sold water to people. They sold meals. They sold a bed, and it just started.
The remote restaurant and lodge features majestic views of the reddish-orange cliffs and a seemingly endless supply of the Arizona sky.
Some days you take it for granted. I take it for granted a lot. I've been here a long time. And then you'll get a storm that comes through and the clouds will nestle on the cliffs, and it reminds you of what a beautiful, vast place you live in. And this is going to be your attractor.
Wendy Gunn hitched her life to this isolated and peaceful part of the state years ago and hasn't left since.
I thought, well, I like to fish and I love to hike and I'd probably like whitewater, so I moved. And, you know, I stayed. You know, I fell in love, got married.
Now the owner and operator of the lodge, Wendy has created a life for herself and a destination vacation place for anyone who wants to enjoy the opulence and grandeur of northern Arizona.
We have 30 acres and 20 hotel rooms and a full house and a restaurant and the whole gamut.
The rooms are all unique in their own way, many covered in a brilliantly golden knotty pine. The lodge and shop are a fly fisher's paradise with all different types of reels and hooks.
I'm doing what I've always wanted to do, I guess more than anything else, and doing it in a great place.
The simplistic serenity of a getaway to this part of Arizona can be found all around the area, from spectacular views of desert landscape to a place where giant boulders have a kind of Flintstones feel and make us wonder about a time gone by. Walk around this area and you can't help but marvel at the ingenuity and hard work that also went into building some of these shelters. Some of the stone and wood structures are still standing, giving you an opportunity to experience what life was like in the early days of Arizona, dwarfed only by the enormity of the cliffs above. These massive boulders are truly unbelievable and can quickly turn a grown-up into a kid, climbing a very large piece of Arizona's history.
It's beautiful scenery everywhere you look.
Mother Nature couldn't have done any better. So if you like fishing or hiking or just want a quiet, unparalleled getaway, settle into the Cliff Dwellers Lodge and experience all the mythological freedom of living, if just for a night, in the American West. Thanks everyone so much for joining us. I'm Robin Sewell, and we'll see you on the next Arizona Highways.